Children's church. Who has that?
That's downstairs, first grade and up.
First grade and up.
Abby,
Can I go down?
can you go down?
Good job.
Yeah, we're on the first grade, you can go.
Let's continue in the Timothy series on Timothy and Titus. I skipped last week. I just have a break. And I counted up how many sermons I already started, and I'm just up to chapter 3. This is number 10. But I think we need to take it a little bit at a time. Kind of like eating the elephant, right? Bob's going to take a part of it at a time, right? Scripture the same way. Never eat elephant. The main topic has been letters of instruction to a pastor in the church. We're carrying this all the way to 1st, 2nd Timothy, and Titus. And we're going to be in chapter 3. In chapter 3. Let's have a word of prayer. Dear Father, I want to thank you for this morning. I want to thank you for your Son Jesus Christ's death on the cross and he rose again for me, the sinner, undeserving. Thank you. As we look at Timothy this morning, a section where we look at instructions to elders, that my heart be open, my eyes be open, those in this fellowship be open. Just bless this morning. And I can pray. Amen. Like I said, we started this letter approximately 10 weeks ago, or actually more than that, 10 sessions. Paul's writing this to exhort Timothy and also provide instructions he's to give to the church. So what I'm saying is these instructions here are not just for the leaders of the church, it was for everybody. Okay? This week, we're continuing the instruction for the church, and we're going to give direct instructions for pastors and deacons as we get chapter 3. We're only going to cover the first 8 verses, verse 7. These verses cover the qualifications of what they call the pastor, overseer, elder. Other terms have been used interchangeably. Basically, the one that oversees the flock of the body of Christ. They got different names. I want to read something to you. The church received this letter in the mail last week. It says, Dear Aurora Bible Church, I'm looking for an opportunity for ministry and wonder if your church has a position available. I'm a single man in my 50s, short of stature, slightly built, balding with a beard. My health is not the best. I have difficulty with my vision. But in spite of my physical limitation, I've seen the Lord use me in many ways. I've never been able to stay in full-time ministry for long because of repeated problems with my financial support. But I've always continued serving the Lord even when I've had to take a secular job. I used to have a violent temper, but the Lord has given me victory over that problem. As my resume shows, I've been involved in the founding of a number of churches. Although I have never stayed in one place for much over 3 years, I admit I'm not a persuasive or eloquent public speaker. In fact, I've been criticized over this matter. But I do maintain that the Lord uses me in this capacity, and I like to have opportunities to speak regularly in your church. Some have complained about my speaking because at times I get carried away, forget about the clock. I must also warn you that my teaching has often stirred up controversy, even to the point of causing riots in some towns. I don't want to hide the fact that I've been sent to prison several times for my part in causing such disturbances. My life has been threatened on numerous occasions, and I have been physically attacked several times. A number of evangelical churches are divided in their opinions about me. Even some of the churches I helped found have turned against me. I have done some writing on various theological and church-related topics, although a well-known Christian leader complained that I'm hard to understand in places. I am not particularly strong at the administrative details, being somewhat forgetful. But I am a hard work, driving, zealous, dedicated man. I believe I can be useful in the ministry of your church, especially in disciplining any young men who want to follow the Lord, please let me hear from you. Question. Would you choose a man like this for leadership in this church? Absolutely. I forgot to tell you who sent the letter. It was Paul. That letter, Carol, we will do it. She's back there watching your face. That what's said in that letter is exactly described Paul. A lot of it out of the New Testament, a lot of it from church history.
Bring it on.
This is what we're talking about. This fictional, biblically based letter, Paul should show us the importance of understanding the biblical qualifications for a leader in the local church. Listen to this. Human wisdom and worldly standards are not adequate. Did you hear me? Human wisdom and worldly standards are not adequate. We must know what the New Testament requires in an elder. The fundamental principle in church government is that Christ is the head of his church. He has ordained his leaders, deacons, disciples, prophets. It's God's church. Not Rick's church, not Bobby's church, not Carol's church. This is where we got to get started first of all. What are these qualifications? Now, before I'm going to tell you a little story, I got put on the pulpit committee. I was raised Southern Baptist. They had little committees. They're good about committees. The pulpit committee is supposed to go around church, by the pastor, picking out, all this kind of stuff. I came across, I listened to one, they kind of split us up in teams back then, and 3 or 4 go to this church, 3 or 4 go to that church. Had a guy that I know was called by God. Didn't have the most education, but he loved the Lord, and he could teach his word. The other went out, all this guy's got doctorates, this guy's got 2 doctorates, and all this other kind of stuff. And I said, I'm not looking at his diploma on the wall. Anybody can get those. I'm looking at how God is using that man to teach the word and direct the church. I was kicked off the pulpit. That's the last one I ever served on. They wouldn't let me back. And we need to remember this. What are the qualifications? Let's look at 1 Timothy chapter 3, verses 1 through 7. Now, I'm going to cover quite a few things here, but there may not be some questions yet because this all leads down to chapter 3 and we'll tie this in together. So don't miss the next 2-3 sessions, okay? It is a trustworthy statement. If any man aspires to the office of overseer, it is a fine work he desires to do. An overseer, then, must be above reproach, the husband of one wife, temperate, prudent, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not addicted to wine or pugnacious, but gentle, peaceable, free from the love of money. He must be one who manages his own household well, keeping his children under control with all dignity. But if a man does not know how to manage his own household, how we take care of the church of God, and not a new convert, so he will not become conceited and fall into the condemnation incurred by the devil. And he must have a good reputation with those outside the church, so he will not fall into reproach and the snare of the devil. A lot of things listed. And I'm thinking people sitting there looking at this as an application, and all these things lined up, you go, it's scary. How many apply for jobs, look at qualification jobs, oh boy, I don't want to do that. And as we look at these, and we've been seen Paul talking to the men of the church, we've seen Paul talking to the women of the church, and now Paul's talking to the leader of the church, or leaders. His tone kind of changes. Now, the reason he started talking about this is because of all the stuff that's been going on, we see in chapter 1 and 2, so he had to start narrowing it down. You know, many churches look at what degrees they have. How big a church they taught at? How big a church they preached at? Oh, they were a successful businessman outside the world, so we're going to make them an elder here. Or pastor here. You know what I mean? They were looking for world standards, and world standards to pick the leader here. God looks at what? His standards, that Paul gives us right here. to change tone. What have been a discussion of what the church and certain groups in the church ought to do changes and becomes a discussion of what leaders in the church ought to be. If you notice, there's nothing in this list of what that elder should do. Paul's saying you should what? Be. God will direct you to do. That makes sense? God was telling, or Paul was saying, this is what you need to be. I'm not interested in your skills. I'm not interested, I'm going to show you what you need to be. As you look at this, there's many things listed here. He starts out, Paul says what? At the beginning of chapter 3. It's a trustworthy saying, or it's honorable. In other words, he's promoted his up. It is a trustworthy thing. It's noble that this person desires to be an overseer, a pastor, a deacon. Maybe scary, but it's noble. So Paul was kind of bolstering up Timothy for one, because Timothy was kind of getting a little scared. But he's also telling it's a noble thing you're doing. A person that stands to be the overseer of a church, that's a noble thing. But it's kind of like, but, and this is where he starts. In the time we have together here, and I'm trying to make it short because there's a list of 15 things here. So I'm going to run through them this morning. We're going to come back to them later on as we look at the rest of the chapter. Number one, we see above reproach. I think King James and the New King James says blameless. Anybody has some interpretations? This quality heads the list of both Timothy and Titus and serves as an overall characteristic of a man's life. You may be inclined to say, as you look at this list, I'll never qualify because I can never be perfect. Well, you know, you weren't born perfect. You want to achieve perfection until when? We're there. And Paul's laying these things out. Sure, you're not going to find, and it's often amazing that, oh, we just need to find the perfect person. You're not happy. The only person that's perfect can be pastor Jesus Christ.
Amen.
And he is the head of the church, but he has to use us. Why? Because we are in here. We're supposed to represent him. Okay? So it must be above reproach. Meaning he doesn't live a double life. What he does at home, what he does outside the church, what he does at the altar, mix. Okay? Now, I'm not saying on occasion things don't happen, they mess it up. You know why? Now, this may be shadow of the truth, but preachers and elders do sin on occasion. Rare, but they do. Okay? They're only what? Human like us. And Paul says, you know what? What did Paul say? Why? I do those things I don't want to do and don't do the things I need to do. So Paul himself had that problem. What I'm saying is, a man of integrity knows when he is sin, knows when he's unable to go and ask God forgiveness and continue down the right path. You understand what I'm getting at? Instead of continuing on where he's going. A man of integrity. Above reproach. Number two, we're going to park ourselves a little bit here on this. The husband and one wife. Okay? This quality in second 22 is important. Pastor's marriage is very important. How he represents himself. You basically have a statement there and expand it too, but you know, how he conducts business at home. How he can't control home life, how he can control church life. Okay? But look at this. Some take it to mean that the elder must be married, not single. There's no way it says that. Paul doesn't say that. I'm going to go on. Others say that means he cannot be polygamous. He doesn't specifically say that, but they're in Ephesus. There was a slight problem with that. They went to church with no problems. They were allowed to become Christians. They kept their wives. We're not going to get into this whole thing about this, but they couldn't be leaders in the church. But that's not what Paul's talking about. Another view is they prohibits a divorced man. Really? If Paul meant that, he would say it. Okay? And he would have said it. I called it, and there's a reason for it. You know, justify the report. God does not, okay, first of all, God does not like divorce. Divorce comes out of what? Sin nature. Okay. Now, God forgives you of sin. Why did he put things up for us? Wash him in the blood and make him holy. He term used here means a one-woman man. Okay? Very, very important. Very, very important. Okay? And this is what Paul's talking about, the husband and one wife. Basically, he's faithful. I know that certain leaders have fallen short in that area, that God can bring them back. You know, we always deal with people that are strong up and never deal with looking at grace and mercy. Okay? Now, God may not use that person the same way. And it has to be a long period of time before they come back. Okay? Long period of time. Long depends on that person's walk and what's going on in their life. Okay? Number 3. And that's the last one. We'll be coming back later on too. Temperate. King James says diligent. Basically clear-headed, mentally alert. Make sound judgments. Do not make decisions based on emotions. Okay? Some look at it as far as originally meant to be not, don't be thinking wine, talk about some other stuff there. But basically be sober-minded. Not be minded followed. The focus is right. And you must have spiritual discernment in this evil world. That is hard to do. Sometimes spiritual discernment, but you pray enough to try to do it. Let me tell you something. There's quite a few things. I taught recently, if you talked to me quite years ago, for some that didn't know that long, I'd have had a different view on it. Right, Carol?
Right.
I like picking up Carol. But he must be temperate. Number 4. Prudent. NIV says self-control. The King James says sober. New King James says sober-minded. Titus 1:8, chapter 2, Titus verse 2 translates the word sensible. It means to be of sound mind, especially a sense of being impulsive. He doesn't follow his fleetings or fleeting moments of doing things. Basically, Plato defined this as the mastery of pleasure and desire. In other words, you control your desires, you control your pleasures. Does that make sense? Now, there's nothing that God has created that we shouldn't enjoy, but how do we pursue them versus other things in God? Okay? You understand that? Like, I remember being raised so bad, you just don't play softball or basketball until you have to leave by God and get home. I mean, like that. Okay.
And you don't dance.
Don't mow your yard, don't do a lot of things.
Don't dance.
Don't dance. And I'm not going to get into all these things right now. But what I'm saying is moderation of a lot of things. Okay? Now, I'm getting dancing over there. There's a lot of dancing going on in God's kingdom.
There's a lot of dancing going on this back row.
Amen. Okay. All right, number 5. We got 15 of these covered, so we respectable. The word means orderly, decent, or modest. The NASB translated discreetly with reference to women's apparel. It talks about this. You talk about a decent life or well-ordered life. I'm not talking about the marching like a soldier, you know. If you're a soldier of the Lord, you got to have orders you got to follow. Okay? And basically what we're saying is that when people look at you, they know who you are. Okay? They know who you are. I was talking to Jeffrey, I haven't pulled the Walmart in 19 years. I hadn't seen this guy in a long time. Noted him for a long time. He said, "Hey, Greg, I heard you preaching now." I said, "I'm making a dreadful impact." I said, "All I'm doing is doing what God wants me to do." But word gets around. Number 6, hospitable. In other some people, because they may be timid. Timothy had a problem with that. Timothy was very timid. Maybe bad when you're not good in crowds and stuff. But you should be hospitable. Welcome them into our church. Welcome into your home. All these kind of things. All right? No matter who they are. Hospitable. Now, right at this point, you've been hearing all this thing. Yeah, I'm going to preach. That's what the preacher should be doing. Let me tell you something. This class, those members of the body of Christ, they should be all the same thing. Don't expect the preacher to, or the elder to display all these, because he's supposed to be teaching the body to do what? Exactly what this says. All right. Number 7, able to teach. King James Version said apt to teach, if you go to King James. Since the other qualifications for elders can be developed, all these other things, in other words, when Paul says this is what you need to be, he knew it wasn't instantaneous proof you're a preacher, you got all these qualities. It doesn't work that way, does it? This is things you have to go grow, prayer, God's word. All right? Let the Spirit work in your life. You can't just poof, have your little person go there. Okay? But able to teach. In 1 Timothy 5:17, Paul does indicate that some elders should concentrate on preaching and teaching while others do not. So there's different functions. We'll talk about it. We'll get down to that part of it later. It's amazing. I've heard some of the greatest preaching. What did Paul there say? He wasn't a great preacher. But they listened, didn't they? They listened because what? He's been guided by the Spirit. They listened. But be able to teach. He must be a man of the word who also understands people. He must understand the word, he must understand people. So that he can guide people into God's truth. And since you can never arrive at a complete knowledge of God's word, an elder, and I like this one, an elder must continue to study with a teachable heart. A person to stand up here should have a teachable heart. Let me tell you something. The Spirit's going to change your mind about things as you get into the Scripture. He's done it to me. I'm sure many of you can look at it and say, hey, I've changed this. That's part of growing in the Word, growing in the Spirit. So not only should they teach, but be willing to be what? Taught. And you can be taught from different directions. Okay? Now, for those that don't want men to sit under women teachers, let me tell you one thing. I've sat under some women teachers. Billy Graham, top spiritual advisor in the Word, was a woman.
Yeah.
Never heard of her much, John. If I didn't, so I read the Bible. Okay? So what I'm saying is, the elder needs to have a soft heart and be able to have a teachable moment, they call it. Learn something. Because God puts those people in your life, face to face, whatever you teach. And that elder, that overseer, that teachable spirit. Oh boy, here's the next one. Not addicted to wine. NIV says not given to much wine. King James Version not given to wine. Now this is going to be a shocker. The Bible does not prohibit all drinking of alcoholic wine.
Amen.
Every indication, historically and otherwise, and understanding the history of what's going on in that part of the country, is that Jesus drank wine, not grape juice. The only way you can have grape juice, and the pure process of it is, as soon as you mash the grape, you have to immediately refrigerate it. Because it immediately turns. It ferments. Okay? So, I'm putting the spell all that to the side. I don't want y'all running, tell all the people in the congregation ain't quite right. What I'm saying is, the Bible does not teach against drinking. But the Bible does warn by necessity. Drunkenness, we see, talk about Proverbs 21, and also Galatians 5:21, drunkenness is clearly a sin. Therefore, it affects you what? Go back to the sober mind. Alright? Now, in light of the widespread problem of alcohol use, which has gotten worse and worse over the years, total abstinence may be the best, but that depends on the individual and how God deals with that person in that situation. Now, as far as an elder, a reason of church, God's not saying don't drink. He says what? Don't get drunk. Paul also talks about be careful of the example you set. Okay? Because that person is looking at you to direct them to Jesus Christ. And let me tell you something. The world forms their opinions of what a Christian should or should not do. It's not in the Scripture. Does that make sense? And they hold it to the world standard and not the Scripture standard. And I hope I've tried to clarify that. Just remember, you're an example for Jesus Christ. When it comes to anything that controls you, this is what we're talking about moderation. If that's what happens in alcohol abuse. The alcohol controls you. The drug controls you. Now, the amazing thing when I was growing up, I used to catch these big fat evangelists stand up and talk about this stuff. And I always answer a word back to you because let me reach you. They rail against all these other things, but he has a problem with self-control on what? Eating. So it goes all the way around. Moderation. Moderation. If we're walking, if we're temperate, good, self-control, we're walking in the Spirit, God's going to dictate those controls for you. All right? In other words, as an elder and even as a Christian, you should not let anything master you that keeps you in the spiritual life. And there's some concern we can talk about that after. I'm going to leave it right there. I can get on a whole other sermon on this right here. We'll stop right here. Number 9, not pugnacious. NIV, New King James says not violent. King James version says no striker. In other words, you must control your temper. You must control your anger. You shouldn't respond or be provoked to anger. That also means in the home. When you get on with the children. Elder or overseer or whatever, anybody in church has to explain to their child, which is good for them. Right? You shouldn't do it in anger. You should do it out of love. I remember my dad spanked me and said, "Son, I want you to know this hurt you worse than it hurt you." And I'm getting beaten. I said, possible. Until I had kids. Okay? Until I had kids. But you should not be provoked to anger. You should not be quick to anger. Okay? I'm not saying you should protect your family, protect yourself when someone attacks you, that way. What I'm saying is the anger for it. A lot of people think police officers did things out of anger. You got Bobby, my wife, and myself. We didn't do things because we were mad. We did things because we are ordained to keep the evil out of this world. Now they've turned around and the police are just angry. Okay? But a leader of the church shouldn't be angry. Next word goes right with it. He should be gentle. This points to a man who is gracious and does not demand his rights. How many of you think about demanding your rights? We as American citizens, that's the biggest thing around. You're going to get my rights. Okay? We are a child of the King. And the only rights we have is one the King gives us. King Jesus. Government is one thing, but another is one thing. I have a hard time learning that. Right? Once you start thinking about it. It ain't about me. but my wife said, it ain't about you. You're right. In a long, long time like that, it ain't about you. We have to remember it's about Jesus Christ. What we're going to do with Christ. We have the rights. We should be uncontentious. The Greek word is macho, or slang means macho, refers to a man who has to prove how tough he is. You ever seen those? I call them the chest bumpers. You ever seen? I'm on the bar like the chest bumpers. That's pretty bad deal. I'm macho. I do these stupid tricks like sliding off the top of the building, killing themselves. Okay? Macho. An elder should not get into fruitless, listen, fruitless quarrels, whether over theology or anything else. Quarrels. Discussions, yes. Quarrels, no. I was talking to young people this morning, talking about Samuel, and we're talking about what should you do in a situation where a person's another believer, Muslim, or whatever, and they start talking about their faith. How should you handle it? And there was multiple choice, and they chose to sit down and talk to them. Not debate them, because that gets funny. But let me tell you something right now. When you go against some of these people, you better be prepared because you're liable to lose the debate. If you lose the debate, you've lost the soul. Jesus Christ. Tell them the story. Tell them about Jesus Christ and love of Christ. And I said, sometimes I have to say, brother, sister, I love you, I'll pray for you, maybe walk away. Instead of giving you the problem. That is not the good. That is not the good. Not quarrelsome. Number 12. Free from the love of money. Some words say not covetous, others say not a lover of money. Is it money that's evil, or is it the love of money that's evil? Now, I'm not going to mention 2 or 3 different evangelists on TV that have multi-million-dollar homes. Now, I'm not going to credit multi-million homes, God bless them. But I'm thinking, how many poor people can they feed for what they pay for the house, for their car? Now, I'm not saying that they're lover of money. I'm just saying, I'll set around my head. Okay? Do God bless those, take care of those? Do God do this? He does. Okay? Yes, He does. So he must be free from the love of money. Number 13. He manages his own household. There's one that says rules. I hate that thing about rules that sound like a king. But he directs his household. Let me tell you something. God made man the spiritual leader of the home. He is the leader of that. Man, you know, you're not all of you, the leaders you want. Man should be the spiritual leaders. Given in the body of Christ. This is an important qualification which has been ignored by many churches in our day. There's many pastors should not be in leadership because they have grievously failed at this point from their household. Now, like I said, you ever heard that term PK, preacher's kid? I always learned a kid. I know that's a preacher's kid. In that house, for that preacher, they should be able to get control. Now, once they get out adult, maybe you don't think there's a while, you must not done a little bit with that adult. You get a kid because he's good with that adult. That don't mean that he is not directing that child in his home. If you read looking at our Bible, there were some tough times with these 2 kids, but they all made full circle. You understand what I'm getting at? Okay? So don't always look. Everybody goes, oh boy, that's a son of a preacher, man. He should be acting like that. Their salvation is not through their daddy or mama who's the Christian. They have to have their own personal relationship. And I'm going to tell you, parents, you can only do the best you can with your kids. When the rest of the world. Okay? You can only do the best you can with the rest of the world. convert. Obviously, a new convert doesn't have the time to develop a lot of these things as they come to the Bible in order to be, And we're quick to shove somebody into it. As soon as they become a Christian, oh, he's got something to do. That's where you get a lot of mixed up teaching and a lot of problems. A lot of problems. We want to move these new converts in the limelight. And a lot of times you see it when a movie star or somebody becomes a Christian, boy, automatically out there want them to do things. That is dangerous. Okay? So he should be a new convert. Why? He will become conceited, thinking he's doing it in his own power and not in the power of the Holy Spirit. And he's easily deceived. When a man is elevated to a position of leadership too quickly, will proud and involved in this position, perhaps even this quickly. Number 15. I know I'm going through these quickly, but these are going to come back as we finish this chapter up on the mountains together. A good reputation with those outside. King James says a good report, a good testimony. What are you showing outside? And let me tell you something, every now and then, believe it or not, we all slip up. And it needs some things about people in church, we all slip up and do something. Take a look at you about that. I am. See this right here? This is the flesh. We're still walking in the old flesh. It's sin nature. And every now and then, if we're not careful, we let the sin nature creep up and take control. Instead of letting the Spirit control us. How many of you have not made a mistake in the past? I don't have my hand up. I'm sorry, that's not what I mean. Nobody can handle it. Who has not made a mistake in the past week does not sin in the past week. Somebody raise their hand up and I'm talking about the church. Okay. So, you must be a good reputation outside. Now, we have enough maligning going on with what's going on today just because we're Christians, because we're the modern Christians. We speak up about our faith, what we believe, what God will say, we call hate mongers and this and that, and all that kind of stuff. It's bad enough, but we don't need to make it worse. And there's people that profess to be Christians get out there and do the wrong things, protesting and this and that and all this other kind of stuff. And that activity hung on everybody because they were Christians. You understand what I'm saying? So it's tough enough when you have worldly Christians out there winning the name. So the other must be good. Yes. This is just a glance as we continue this chapter, the kind of maturity God wants to produce, not only in the leaders of the church, but in the people of the church. So they should be paying for these things too. Okay? Not just the others. Verse 6 and 7, I want you to notice something. These oaths and those people of leadership, others, are special targets. Think about that. Satan can take out the head. It just does a lot. So y'all need to pray for the leaders. God's around you and take protection. Because he take out the leaders. This is, cause problems. And I've seen it time and time again. Satan steps in, makes a connection there. Some little thing, they'll find a little weakness somewhere. Pride gets in the way of the elder, the leader, even people in the church. Well, I don't want to be done that way. Boom! Satan slaps you right back down. I'll show you where you're strong.